Having a family looks different for everyone. There are several reasons why people cannot biologically produce a child. With the help of assisted reproductive technology and with legislation slowly but surely adjusting to our needs, we can create our families regardless of the state we live in. I myself went through self-shaming of being affected by infertility, not being able to physically carry a child in my 30s. My ex was affected by male factor infertility, and now in my 40s, not having any more eggs to give have been hurdles that I had to overcome. I didn't then know about the community of various types of support that exists for those of us struggling with this. I didn't know about the options financially, medically, psychologically, donor-wise, etc., that are available so that we can realize our families. You're listening to Mothers in Arms. It is May 27th. I'm your host, Leslie Lopez. This is episode number 12 in conversation with Wendy Ruiz. I got the chance to sit down with Wendy Ruiz, the co-founder of Pathways to Surrogacy, a company of gestational carriers who educate and support surrogates and anyone thinking of becoming one. Without further ado, let's get into this.
Good morning.
I feel so grateful that our mutual friend introduced us. I guess it was like a year ago that I first connected with you. I had shared with you that I had gone through a gestational carrier journey myself, that whole process through an agency, and that at the time I was, you get these questionnaires to fill out. What are you looking for? What state do you wish your surrogate mother to live in, and all of this? And I remember checking a box saying like, oh, can she be Latina? I didn't know like really much about it at the time, but I had this image of a Latina mother carrying my child and, eating spicy food, maybe, the music surrounding her home being, I don't know, I had these like images of just Latin music playing, sort of like infiltrating a Latin culture to my child through the mother. But obviously, we know like, when it comes down to it, when you're presented with, okay, we found someone for you, then at that point you have to sort of weigh out what's more important, like what state do they live in, what health record do they have, how what's the distance that you're willing to go, what's your time frame, right? It's really about your health and really about where you stand with on a doctor's note, really, or a physical check, right?
Correct. I understand that there's other families that seek, like you were probably trying to seek more somebody that you can be more familiar with based on your culture, like you said, the music, the food, and some parents will put like restrictions, like, oh, do you think you could eat more organic food, or do you think you can have like such juice early in the morning? So there's special requests from different parents, and most of these surrogates do meet like the request from the parents. So that's when I say like, oh, most of the time it's just based on who, when they're looking for a surrogate, it's who's willing to help and be as helpful as they can when it comes to, being a surrogate.
Right. And I think that as some intended parents, as their first time going into this whole sector, not knowing too much, we want to see like as much of ourselves in that experience as possible, right? So like you said, like, well, I would be juicing, so maybe they can juice, or I eat organic, so maybe they could eat organic. And so, sometimes people, they just don't want to eat organic, or they can say no, right? Like some surrogates can say, I don't want to do that.
Definitely, definitely. Or even like with one of my journey families, I would send them pictures of what I was eating, mainly what I was craving. And it turned out to be that like the mother, it was their preference of like favorite fruit. So it would just make the dynamic a little bit more touchy in the end. So if I
Yeah.
was, I think it was like oranges possibly, and then I sent it to the mom, and the mom said that is literally her favorite food or fruit, and I swear I would just take a picture and then that was her reaction because I was craving it so much.
When did you first hear about surrogate mothers and what all of that meant? Like, how old were you? And
It's a taboo story. It's very taboo because it's a taboo topic in most families. I mean, and especially culturally, like in Hispanic, in my opinion, don't speak much of it. Um, they tend to just say when people ask when are you guys gonna have a baby, it's more like, oh, we're not ready yet. Oh, we're doing this. Oh, we're doing that, right? So it's very taboo to talk about your personal emotions when it comes to anything with surrogacy or like fertility issues or problems. So honestly, to be honest, the first time I ever heard anything about fertility ever was when I started working as a receptionist at a fertility office. That was my first glimpse ever that that even ever existed. So it was I was getting trained and they tell you all these files are for the surrogates, these files are for egg donors, and these files are the parents. If you see them bundled up, like it has a surrogate and it has an egg donor, that means that that family are gonna use a surrogate and they're gonna use an egg donor. So in reality, I never knew anything about this until I was getting trained in the field. And that's literally when I learned what surrogate is, what surrogate meant, and then I started knowing the process that they go through, which is their screenings, their medical checkups, their ultrasounds, the blood test, everything that goes in the inside job of being a surrogate. And I believe I was 22 years old when I got hired for the job as a receptionist.
what led you to, were you looking for a receptionist job or what specifically landed you in that type of office?
My background is medical. I had gone to school to be a medical assistant. So I was just looking for a job anywhere where I can just get my hands on training. I did go through like 3 interviews to get that job position. The potential parents, they don't tell their family members what they're going through. So it's like they're sneaking in and out of the office or they want to just go to work and they don't even tell their workplaces. They just tell them that they're having a doctor's appointment. So when I went into the field, I was only 22 years old. I wasn't a mother yet. I became a mother later on as I worked there in the office, and I was approached by an agency owner and asked me if I would want to be a surrogate. So I did think about it because I did care and want and value, of course, my family's opinion, which my mom's opinion wasn't the opinion everybody would expect, be it in the field. It was more like, why would you have a baby for somebody else when you can be having your own? Or, oh my God, what is the world gonna say? Or what is your like uncle, your cousins? Like, I guess she didn't know what she was gonna say, and of course, knowing that she wasn't fully educated, as the topic is such a taboo in our community, I still went for it. It didn't at work, being surrounded by the doctors, the nurses, it's just like they applaud you, like, "Oh my god, you're doing such a great thing," and you see, like, a lot of fertility offices, they have the, pictures with their families, like, after the outcome, and then they send you the Christmas, cards, and they have the little baby, and you see the whole process just come together and the smiles, and you're just it's you feel it feels appreciative because even though I was the medical assistant and you're cleaning the room, you see them going through it, through all the ups and downs or low emotions, the medicine, or how they make them feel. So I said yes at the end. It wasn't the best support from my family, but I went for it afterwards. I felt like I was in good hands. I think more so because I worked in the office. So it didn't feel like I had to be so afraid of being a surrogate. I knew I was gonna be well taken care of.
You had a front row seat to what to expect, the science behind it all, what other women were going through. So, what a blessing to be able to have that.
And you did get a lot of comforting from the nurses. Like they would check up on me. Oh, how are you feeling? How's the progesterone shot doing today? "Oh, okay, or like your ultrasounds, like, oh my God. And as the baby starts growing, like, you have to go through the stages still because they don't just let you off to your OB right away, like right away, immediately. You have to like you have to go through the process where you see the heartbeat. 9 to 10 weeks from the fertility office, and then you head off to your OB. But even then, I was well taken care of by everybody. Even like the food, like, "Oh, she's pregnant." It was just it's a nice experience.
So at that point, how old were you at this point when you were a surrogate mother?
35, 35 years old at that time. So I believe
Wow.
I felt it felt right, because I was already mature enough to understand everyone's emotions and know that it's a very serious, process to go through, like, and everyone's emotions are involved, for the best high hopes.
Did your mother come around after once you started? Was there a shift for her?
She came around, she did everything for me. I wasn't allowed to, even grab, like, the mop to mop the
Oh.
floor. I She came around just like if it was her own grandchild, and she did the same. She treated me the same way she treated me when I was pregnant off of her own grandchild, off of my own child. So she came around. Like, I didn't when I say I literally didn't do anything, like Leslie, I didn't do anything. Like, I didn't wash dishes, I didn't pick up the bed. I wasn't taking care of my daughter, like showering her or anything. I was under restrictions even with her.
I love that. Were there other people in your family that perhaps were not as
Oh
who
yeah.
didn't come around the way your mom did?
Oh, definitely. There are some people, I think I hid it from a few people because I had another family member that had also done it, and I don't think it's more like the older crowd, that doesn't know much more or better, um,
Right.
and it's more culturally, religion. Oh, definitely, there were some people that I did hear, through the grapevine that they thought, "What is she doing? Oh my god, she must have a cold heart. How could she let go of the baby? Like, Wendy's such a cold-hearted person." And I did have somebody tell me to my face, like, "Oh, so you're just gonna give up the baby just like that?" And I said, "Yeah, it's not mine. Like, the family's waiting for it." "You have such a cold heart." And then I was like, "Cold heart?" Like, it did hurt my feelings, right? But I'm like, "No, like, I'm not cold-hearted." And then I think I sat through those emotions for, like, a good entire day. And then I realized cold-hearted, it's not me. Like, cold-hearted are the people that leave their babies, they have them in a restroom and just wrap them up and leave them abandoned. That's cold-hearted because I'm going through the 9 months like anybody else.
It's quite the opposite of cold heart people who do this for a living. Like, it's the complete opposite. Like, you have the kindest heart. I mean, cold heart would be if you did keep that baby and you like broke your contract and didn't give the people what you agreed on to do, that's a cold heart. I mean, what do they want you to do? Steal, steal the baby? That's just
Yes.
like
They'll track you, and then I tell you they can track you. It's the whole, like, surrogacy, like, it's not just like, "Hey, sign me up," and you just sign up, like, your first and last name, and here's my phone number, this is where I can be reached. It doesn't work like that. It's an entire process. They do, like, a background check. We have So they have your Social Security number intact. So if I was to run off with this baby, they will find me even under a rock because everything is paper trail: where you live, where you work, like who are your family members. If there's other people that live in your home, they have to do a background check on those people too. So it's a whole entire process.
Do you think that today in 2025, Latina women who do sign up to be surrogates are still having to deal with these extra voices in their lives saying, "What are you doing?"
Yes, 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 definitely. I think in my lifetime, because I recruit surrogates, so I first give them the information of what it is to be a surrogate, the expectations, the responsibilities, what you're really signing up for, because it's not just signing up, "Oh, I'm gonna get this much money and it's just easy, like just put the baby inside of me." It's still a whole entire process, like the medical screenings. We have medications that we have to go through, which are the hormones. We also have to go through the pap smear, we have to do blood work, you have to do ultrasounds. Everything has to be, every T has to be crossed and every I has to be dotted. What you're signing up for, and then their emotions play a role. Like, I want to do it, but I can't do it because my mom or my husband or so and so think it's wrong. So there is still a cultural backlash on their end. So I always tell them the same. I always tell them my story. My mom wasn't okay with it, and then she she just pulled through for me in the end, and she came around.
What inspired you to start recruiting women to become surrogate mothers?
Being in the field already, um, it wasn't hard once you have the experience and once you start talking about it, you'd be surprised how many girls out there actually have looked it up and want to be a surrogate. So, with that in mind, it wasn't so hard to bring people aboard and educate them or give them like the right answers. A lot of people have a misconception that when you're a surrogate, you're getting inseminated or you're going to be like intimately with another person. That's not what it means. Like, it's just they have a different perception of what surrogacy is. It's not exactly what you and I possibly know the whole process of going through surrogacy. It's so wild that men think that their spouses are gonna be having intercourse, or it's just it,
That's a common one. That is actually a really common one, that I've heard about. Um, what other like, what were there other things that kinda caught you off guard besides them thinking they had to have sex with the other person's partner?
that's number one. And then other people just think that it's also the female's egg and that they're gonna make their own baby and they're gonna give their baby away. So is it's just
Right,
it's just lack of information. It's just lack of
right.
information.
And what makes a good candidate?
Finding somebody or knowing that somebody has the right intentions to help. It's not just like, oh, she looks like she fits the description, like, okay, she's fit, she eats healthy. It's not that. I think it's just finding the right people that want to help and have a nice heart to do this. Also, the other thing is that I thought about, Leslie, it's um a lot of these women, when they want to do it, some of them love being pregnant and they can't continue having kids of their own, so they enjoy pregnancy. They still feel nauseous, your back will still be hurting, you still feel sleepy, you still feel exhausted at certain times, and you still have to perform your regular job duties like go to work, get up in the morning, dress your children to go to school. You still have to function like with your regular responsibilities day to day. So a lot of these girls sometimes they really do pull through, but I did notice that a lot of people want to fill in those requirements. But me as a surrogate, when I'm looking for surrogates, recruiting them, I do look at even red flags. And red flags to me are, do they do they look like they potentially have a bad, not stable home? Like they're not using drugs. I mean, later on, they still get tested for it. They're not using drugs and that they have a stable home. They have everything that they can provide for their own family as a serious person.
Right, that's amazing.
Wow.
And, to your point, like, not using drugs, but not just them, like other people in their home, right? Like their partners or anybody else who's living with them, like that environment needs to be sana. Is there, and they don't have to be married, right? They just need to have a stable support system around them.
Correct.
Um, is there an age cutoff?
I mean, there's different agencies that have different age limitations. Definitely we go aboard at 21, age of 21. We still think 18 and 19, they still have a little bit more to fulfill for themselves, as their surrounding. A lot of them sometimes don't have a car. I mean, they need a vehicle to go to their appointments. Some of them don't even have a driver's license. I've seen a cut off at 34 years old. I have other agencies that cut off at 39, others at 40, others at 42. So it different agencies have different expectations.
You were lucky enough you were working at a medical clinic, so you could even have one of the nurses help you. Did you have help with the injections
I did my all my injections. I did all of my injections, all of them. So
by
I take
yourself?
it myself every night. Exhausting sometimes, but we do have a lot of surrogates that don't feel comfortable or don't feel so great about putting a needle inside of they're just afraid, and it's totally understandable. They're not comfortable. It's not their comfort level, and sometimes, well, right now I am going to certain houses, or we do hire nurses that can go give the shots, but I did do them myself. I did.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it could be intimidating at first to, you get all these, you open it up and it's like, what is this? Like the needles look this big and it's like, how am I going to do this?
Especially because a lot of the medication, they're oil based, so they're very thick. So you do have to change the needle. I mean, you do have to wipe the surface. You have to make sure that everything is done properly and it's clean, and you're not going to get an infection. Make sure it's the right gauge, and you just inject it. Is it the right side? A lot of the people are afraid. What if I poke something wrong, or what if, or the needle breaks? And so a lot of people do get scared. A lot of their surrogates, yeah, they feel a little frightened over it. Yeah.
Right, right. During the time that you did that first journey, did you have mental health support through the agency that you were signed up with?
Interestingly enough, I'm going to share a very, very intimate story of mine. So when I had my daughter, I did go through postpartum depression. So when I signed up to do surrogacy, that was my number one fear. My number one fear was, what if I get postpartum depression after this? They actually were very, very, very accommodating with that, and they did offer the 3 months. Thankfully, I didn't need it, and so the parents were very supportive. And in the contract, it was added, and there was an extra bonus of money reserved in case it was going to be needed. So I do feel like I had a lot of support from the agency accommodating that, not rejecting me for having postpartum depression in the past, and the family that didn't also reject me or thought it was like something that, oh, like a defect of me or anything.
The amount of hormone irregularities going on in your body after giving birth, it's like everybody is unique and it's definitely a thing.
Oh yeah, it's out there. I didn't realize when I had it with my daughter, I didn't realize I had depression until I walked into my OB, and then I just bursted out in tears, and I shared with her all of my emotions, and they did right away. They took the right precautions. I mean, I believe there was a nurse. They started checking on my daughter. They checked her, like her clothing, her diaper, make sure there wasn't any scratches on her, or I had not hurt her physically. So it was something big in my on my end when it came down to my contract, and having that support meant a lot to me.
I think it's also part of our culture that you give a baby, you delivered a baby, you're supposed to be so happy. Everything's supposed to be so great. And you're looked down on for having these emotions.
Emotions, because it's supposed to be the happiest moments of your life, right? That's what everybody expects it to be. I just went to a lot of the meetings with a lot of women that felt the same way, and they were going through the same thing. So it made me feel a lot better being in those meetings, and it didn't make me feel like an outsider. It totally felt normal to just cry and burst in tears, and then just tell them that I physically didn't like myself, because you also go through a physical change after giving birth. And I remember I was bawling out, and I think we were probably at least good 8 women in there sitting. So by the time I had the second baby through via surrogacy, and then I went through my body changes again, it was normal. It didn't feel like, oh. like anything new. And then the support that I knew in the case that I needed therapy, I knew it was there.
Amazing. I know every contract is different, but there is similarities in saying, some of them have NDAs that you sign on with the intended parents, and you discuss like if you want to, how involved, if at all, will you be in the life after. Do you keep in touch with the family whose child you carry?
I keep in touch with the first family. I try my best to not be so involved because at the end of the day, they're also having their own family, their own private moments, and you just watch them do their life and based on the help that you created with them. With the second family that I did have, they were actually celebrities. It was more reserved. It was more quiet. There was the little bit of communication we had, it was mainly just about the baby. They're the same human beings as anybody else, like regular people like you and I, that they're going through their struggle of wanting to have their family no matter what. It's still the same emotions. So them, I did not keep in touch with them. It's all through social media that I see the baby growing, and it feels nice. You have to respect everyone's privacy at the end of the day.
Right, right. And I mean, I know this from my experience was with my surrogate mother. In the contract, there was like a section of like if whatever she needed, maternity clothes, if I did want her to eat organic or drink juices, whatever, like I would send her that. Was there anything specifically in your contract that you were like, I need to have this?
I think so the way it happened with the first set of family that I said I like to eat organic or home cooked meals when I'm pregnant, because I do take pride in every pregnancy to make sure that the babies are well fed and that they're getting the best food that they can possibly get. So I did mention that I would like more home cooked meals, and they gave me an extra generous allowance a month, so I would have the right funds basically to make sure that we were bringing in the home foods. The foods that I needed. I mean, whatever I hear out on TV that says that makes a baby smarter, this you eat this, it'll help their brain develop a lot more. You name it, I was doing it. So I did do it with all three babies, mine, and then the other two journeys that I did.
Amazing.
I do take pride on the food. I stay away from like anything that's outside food, any processed food. I do my best to not eat any of that food while I'm pregnant, because I'm just like any other mother. Your mother instincts kick in immediately, and I'm pretty sure even the other parents, parents that want their baby would want the same for their baby. I don't think they want processed food. That's another reason why even when you're pregnant, you should maintain that healthy for the baby, for yourself, because when you give the baby back to their family and where they should be with their family, you're still gonna go back to your regular job, your home, your family, everything else continues. So you still have to be that one standing strong female for your family. So it's food plays a big role, I believe.
I almost feel like it we need more education to the support network of that surrounds the surrogate mothers, their families, their partners, their children. They need to be informed and know the facts of what's happening.
Hmm. And I think that's the only thing that's left, I think, in the surrogacy world when it comes to us Latino families, is just educating them, letting them know that when you become a surrogate, it's not your own baby, it's not your own egg, it's the embryo's already created. I always tell them, the embryo is somewhere right now in a frozen tank. It's already ready for you. They just need to take it out, get it ready, get you ready, and there it is. Like the baby will just flourish, right? Because it's not just I'm walking out with my amount of money, what I got paid for, or what I settled for as a surrogate to get paid, because there is no price on it at the end of the day. like you said, it's if you only knew some of the stories I've heard the surrogates go through to just be surrogates at times. I've had a girl that had to back away because she couldn't do it because her family wasn't supportive. Um, and she really wanted to be a surrogate and she didn't get to do it. And every time she sees me, she feels bad because she wishes she could do it.
Gosh, so her family was just really, really against it.
I find it so odd because she was adopted, and I don't understand why her adopted mother would not be supportive if she's done a change in the world just by taking her in and showing her love.
I feel like maybe it's the science part, right? Like adoption. I can't speak for that family, but in my experience, people were very confused about the facts of science and how, this happening outside of your body and then putting it into a body that's just like unnatural. That's a taboo that I've come across a lot.
With us Latinos, it's also, oh, if they can't have a baby, God knows what they've done or they're being punished for. And you're right, it's the science part behind it that they don't know or that are not educated enough to know that it's not God not letting you have a baby. It's sometimes women have other stuff going on that they don't tell their family. Some of these women that cannot have a baby of their own have previously had cancer or like cervical cancer, and there's just no way. Or like if if their blood cells are clashing with their partner's blood cells and they're not letting the baby doesn't stay. It just is numerous of things that people have health problems that other people don't know. And some of these people uterus had issues way before they were probably even having a period, or so there's a lot of misconceptions in the Latino community.
Have there ever been any journeys that of someone that you had recommended where they had to stop halfway through the journey, or the other families got had a change of heart where it made things really difficult for the surrogate to finish the journey?
There's one story I will share. I know that everything went normal. She passed the test, the family, the baby's growing, everything is going well. They did the anatomy test, and the anatomy test showed that the back of the baby's spinal cord didn't fully connect. So it meant that this baby was going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of their life, no matter what. And that was the biggest, heartbreaking, toughest decision I've ever had to hear from the parents' perspective. That do we go through the pregnancy or do we stop the pregnancy? And sure enough, they stopped the pregnancy. And it was heartbreaking on the surrogate because at that point, we don't have a saying.
Yeah, I know that you sign all of that on the contract before, right? If are you going to terminate or do you move forward? And so even though you know if that's the condition when it's actually happening to you, gosh, yeah, what a heartbreak.
That's a true story. That it really.
Did she go back and do another journey later on, or was
Uh,
that it?
I think she took her break. She took a break. I mean, this happened earlier this year, so I think she's still coping with that.
Yeah, like I think that like, and I hear myself say that, and then I'm just like, you know what? That's not right, Leslie. Like pushing forward, starting a new journey, having another baby, like that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to make you feel better. That's going to make everything better. Like grieving what happened, even if it wasn't your child, it was they were so involved, obviously. Like grieving looks different for everybody.
And then I've had another surrogate too that she was afraid to even do another journey because I think she was up to a few weeks, maybe 2 months into the pregnancy, and somehow the baby just didn't make it anymore. And afterwards, she had a hard time. And I would see her post about losing a baby, and she treated that baby as if it was her own, and it hurt her as if it was her own. Because when you're doing your journey as a surrogate, like me, the day before my embryo transfer occurs, I be praying to God day and night, like, please, God, let this happen, please. Because on the last two journeys that I embarked, it was the last embryo, and it was my only chance, last one I ever had. And
Wow.
they already had the efforts. You see them like excited, like this is gonna happen. Everybody is in positive. I'm hoping for the best. Like, oh, I hope this baby comes through. I hope they have their baby. Oh my God. Like, you're just praying to God. I don't know how many times I pray to God when I'm sitting there the day before and even the day, even after the implant the baby, you're just like, oh, I hope it stays. Like, I hope it's there. And I'll be laying like in my bed, just resting, like, okay, hopefully it's happening. And every little thing that happens to your body at that moment is like, is this normal? Like, you're paranoid, like, is this okay?
Wow. Your spirituality, your faith, it's so inspiring to me that this is something that you access, that you lean on, and that you spread this positive. It's contagious to me. I've found it so uplifting, and I can imagine that the families you work with, the surrogates you work with, the candidates you work with.
But you have to stay positive in all of this. And then I've had my downs and my lows in my life. And I when I hear surrogates at times come to me and they sometimes tell me their story, you can relate. There's a lot of things we can relate, that God keeps you humble and you stay humble with their stories too. And then just remember that it's okay sometimes to not have the best emotions, because sometimes it means it's totally going the right way, especially with the medications that we inject. We do so much hormones on a daily basis, and it could take a toll on our bodies at times.
Well, if there's anyone listening who wants to sign up with you, who wants more information, we'll put all the links to getting in touch with you so that they can. And I've learned so much in talking to you about this. Thank you for your knowledge, your time. It means a lot.
Many thanks to you. I'm glad that you opened this big topic. I'm really glad you're opening this big topic, and that hopefully it touches somebody's heart really close to them, and that it changes their mind a little bit. And next time they see a surrogate, they see beyond more than just that. People think that surrogates they're just doing it for the money. I hope they see beyond and beyond that.
Beyond is right.
Thank you, Leslie.
Cold hearted soul, what do you think? That is not the vibe I got from talking to her. The strength in her faith, her family, in her career, it's encouraging and inspiring. Absolutely, we need to make it a point to educate the support group of gestational carriers, the intended parents, all about this process, both of what it does entail and what it might entail. I wanted to note that my comments at the beginning of the interview, when I'm describing how initially I'd hoped for a Latina surrogate to carry my child, in no way reflects that I was disappointed by having my gestational carrier be Caucasian. I was wanting to feel myself be as much a part of what was going to happen, see my culture in my infertility journey as much as possible. I would not change anything about my surrogate family, who went above and beyond for me. I was blessed with Melissa. I am forever grateful to her and Brian and their family for all that they did for Elise and me. Them taking on the responsibility amidst their own careers, their own family obligations, not to mention it was COVID. Our journey was meant to be as is. It was our destiny. I like to think it was God's plan for us. That wraps us up for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to Alan and Melissa at Pretty Easy Podcast for your support in creating this episode. Please check out more of these and similar stories on Instagram and TikTok at mothersinarms.pod. Also, if you can please take a few seconds to like and rate this episode on whatever platform you're listening to right now, it really goes a long way of getting the word out on this little podcast. Thanks so much. Have a blessed day.